Now I try to speak as an expert because my official position doesn't allow me to speak interestingly. Because you know, official speeches very important, extremely useful, but not interesting. Okay, and I want to start my text, my speech, from one joke which I had from one British senior security official. He said, what kind of country needs strategy? There are two kinds of country which doesn't need a strategy. The first one is countries such as Monaco. Monaco or San Marino doesn't need strategy because their strategy is very easy to follow to the main country. The second kind of country who doesn't need the strategy is the USA, because if you have 11 air carriers, you can send one air carriers, 2, 5, 7. After this, you can solve all problems without any idea. The countries such as Great Britain, he said, need strategy. Allow me to expand this situation for countries such as Turkey and Ukraine, because this country is strong enough for shaping their own policy, but this country doesn't have enough resources for only strong power policy. And the first priority for shaping strategy is understanding of security environment. What does it happen? What is happened now? What challenges, risks, threats we met in this time? As Mr. Ambassador said, we are living in the crisis situation, in the situation in which the new political and even economic order is emerging. And this time is extremely interesting because we can detect very old, very new and very current tendencies, trends which shape the current security environment. What kind of crisis we met just now? Many people said that it's extremely new kind of crisis which nobody met in previous time. Other people said it's extremely old kind of crisis, and these people suggest that many historical models from the model of 30 years war, when in this Eastern Europe fight some kind of Catholics and Protestants. Catholics, of course, is pro-Russians and Protestants and pro-Ukrainians powers. Others said about reshaping of post-imperial space, because it's true, it's delaying crisis which theoretically had to be 20-25 years ago, but we managed to protract this crisis and to prepare for this crisis. Others said that is returning to very classical power policy in this place. Others said, other experts, other politicians suggest and propose other models. I think all of these experts are right, but in other side, all of these experts are wrong. This crisis, of course, has many characteristics of very old crises, but it's really new crisis. And this crisis, the first real crisis of the 21st century. It's quite symbolic that this crisis started in 2014, exactly after 100 years after the First World, or after the Great War, which shaped our real life in previous 50, 70 years. And what kind of characteristics from is the most important from my point of view for understanding, for describing current situation in Ukraine and in Ukrainian-Russian crisis. First of all, we have to say that Russians use very old approach for making a war. It's a so-called Leninist approach, which used by Comintern, Communist International, and Soviet intelligence in 20s, 30s years of the 20th century in Europe. Of course, for Europe, this kind of technology, this kind of military approach is quite new, because after early 60s, this kind of technologies didn't use in Europe. But the Soviet Union wider used this approach in the countries of so-called the Third World. I had yesterday very interesting, 2 days ago, very interesting conversation with former ambassador of the USA, and I said him about Leninist approach, and he said, oh, it's true, it's exactly the same which we met in Angola and Nicaragua. The main idea of this crisis is destroying infrastructure of normal life. For what? The main idea of destroying is by expanding the resources of rebels. If the situation in our eastern regions, in Donetsk, in Lugansk, would be characterized by stopping the normal life, these rebels, these separatists, these terrorists will have a huge support from ordinary people, which will be forced to join these rebel groups. And this approach, common with very old kind of propaganda, which we met from Russian TV, from Russian media, has shaped very interesting and very strange environment. We really had some kind of artificial reality in which many people, unfortunately, in Ukraine, and not only Ukraine, exist just now. And this strange reality is the most important threat for us. Not only for us as Ukrainians and or Ukrainian authorities or Ukrainian security officials, but for all free people who try to communicate with current Russia. Because if you read yesterday's speech of Putin, who spoke to for his diplomats, you can see that its text is extremely interesting. Mirabeau, French revolutionary leader, Mirabeau said that Robespierre is a very dangerous man because he believes which he said. When you read the text of Putin's speech, you can remember exactly these words of Mirabeau. Putin became to believe in which he says. It's very important, and it's extremely dangerous for man who is leader of the great country with a nuclear power, with a nuclear bomb. The second problem which we met in current crisis, that the old traditional models of neutralizing of this kind of strategy, which the NATO, the EU, the United Nations or Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe used in previous 23 or even 40 years, because in the next year we will celebrate 40 years of Helsinki summit. This old approach doesn't work at all. Even more, this approach works not as the factor of deterrence, but as a factor of pushing of aggressor, of pushing of revanchists, not only in Russia, but in other countries of Europe. You see, Ukrainian, if I return to Ukraine, Ukrainian authority, current Ukrainian president, was a businessman. And for him, the negotiation is very natural way for resolving problems. And he tried to make negotiation. But unfortunately, we can't make a deal with people who don't want to make a deal at all. They have their reality. They have their reality. They have their ideas, and they don't want respect, not negotiation, not their partners, but other kind of reality. The current old approaches for mitigating an aggressor, which we try to use, based on the common reality, on the common values. We need to reinvent, to return very old approaches, which are much more useful for situation when we have a different ideas and different realities. And this situation even much deeper than we had 40, 30 years ago, because the idea of coexisting, which was the most important idea for last year, for the 10th and for last year of this Cold War, doesn't work for current situation. The third factor which I want to exist is that we met a very long, protracted challenge. Many people think that what is happening now in the east of Ukraine, it's a crisis for days, for weeks, or maybe for months. No, it's a crisis for years. And we, as Ukrainians, and we, sorry for this claiming as a part of the Western world, must be ready to live with this new kind of war, this new kind of life for many, many years. Thank you so much for your attention. I'm sorry for some kind of not practical ideas which I expressed, but I think this understanding even is much more important than discussing on the current issues or the models from the previous time of international relations. And again, I want to express my the best wishes for this conference roundtable and for organizers of this conference, because I think it's a very important and very challenging idea to shape this kind of very interesting and very senior experts for discussing the situation in our very quick transforming region. Thank you so much.